Norman Milton Lear was born on July 27th, 1922 in New Haven, Connecticut, to Jeanette Hyman. To Jeanette, what was her name? Jeanette Seacole, whatever her name, Jeanette means need cycle, and what was the name? Hyman Lear. They call him Herman. They call him Herman, who had to be a traveling salesman. He had a younger sister who goes by the name of Claire Lear Brown, who had passed away back in 2015. Lear grew up in a Jewish household in Connecticut, and he had a bar mitzvah ceremony where Jeanette and Hyman were of Russian Jewish descent. They're both Russian and Jewish descent. When Lear was 9 years old, he was 9 years old and living with family members of his family in Chelsea, Massachusetts. That's a few miles away from Boston. His father went to prison for selling, fake bonds to make ends meet, make a living to take care of him, you know, was you know, Jeanette coded Claire. Lear thought of his father as a rascal, quote unquote rascal, and he said that the character of Archie Bunker, that's the name Archie Bunker, that's portrayed by the late Carol O'Connor in the 1970s. It's a fictional character whom Lear depicted as white Protestant on the show was in part inspired by his father, while the character Edith Bunker, it was Edith Bunker. It was a it was another fictional character. It was another fictional character that was portrayed by the late Gene Stapleton. Was inspired by his mother. Well, two people. The two people that were already inspired by the two people that had to be Hyman and Jeanette, his parents. However, Lear has said the moment which inspired his lifetime of advocacy was another event which that he experienced at the age of 9 when he first came across anti-Semitic Catholic radio priest Father Charles Coughlin while tinkering with his crystal radio set. After hearing more of Coughlin's radio sermons, Lear said that he found Coughlin would promote Wells Coughlin had promoted anti-Semitism by targeting people whom the Jewish people, like that's short for Jews, considered to be, quote unquote, great heroes, such as a United States president who goes by the name of Franklin Roosevelt. Lear attended a local high school in Brooklyn, New York, and that name is Samuel J. Tilden High School, that he later graduated from Weber High School in Hartford, Connecticut. That's far away from Brooklyn, New York, and Harlem, New York, and things like that. That was in 1940. That was the year that my grandfather, James Clarence Shaw, was born. Uh, and Lear had attended a local university college in Boston, Massachusetts. It goes by the name of Emerson College. He attended that Emerson College facility in Boston, Massachusetts, but he later dropped out in 1942 just to join the United States Army Armed Forces. It goes to his career in the military. Lear enlisted in the United States Army or Air Forces. That's what it. That's what he's enlisted. Lear enlisted in the USAAF, the United States Army Air Forces in September of 1942. He served in the Mediterranean theater as a radio operator slash gunner in the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress bombers with the 772nd Bomb Squadron, 463rd Bomb Group of the 15th Air Force. In a 2014 interview, he talked about bombing Germany. He flew 52 combat missions and received the Air Medal with 4 oak leaf clusters. Lear was discharged from the Army Air Forces. That's right. Lear was discharged from the Army Air Forces in 1945. His World War II crew members are featured in the book Crew Umbriago. The Crew Umbriago book that was by a man named Daniel P. Carroll. That's the name of a guy who had to be featured in the book, and his name was Daniel P. Carroll. Well, the career that he had in the 1950s, that he started doing it, you know, after World War II, Lear had a career in the PR department, public public relations department. The career choice was inspired by his uncle Jack. He said this. Lear said this uh, long ago. He mentioned this. Uh, Norman Lear said this in his interview that that one thing that he just inspired by his uncle. You know, that could have been the career choice that could have been made. He says, "My dad had a brother, Jack, who flipped me a quarter every time he saw me. He was a press agent. He was a press agent, so I wanted to be a press agent like he is. That's the only role model I had. Also, so all I wanted was to grow up to be a guy who could flip a quarter." To a nephew, Leo decided to move to California to restart his career in publicity, driving with his daughter, his toddler daughter, I think his goal who had to be Claire, across the country. His first night in LA, Leo stumbled upon a production of George Bernard Shaw's Major Barbara at the 90-seat theater in the Round Circle Theater off Sunset Boulevard. That was Sunset Boulevard that he had to go to. One of the actors in the play was Charlie Chaplin's son, Charlie Chaplin and Lita Gray's son, Sidney Chaplin. He been in the film game since the early 50s. Uh, we explain to you about Sidney Chaplin. Sidney Chaplin. This man was the son of his actor parents, Charlie Chaplin and Lita Gray. Chaplin. That's the name. Lita Gray Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin. That's one name. Charlie Chaplin, Ellen Mowbray, and the Dame Gladys Cooper sat in front of Lear. And after the show was over, Charlie Chaplin performed that night. Lear had a cousin. He had this one cousin. His first cousin he had was Elaine, who was married to an aspiring comedy writer who goes by the name of Edward Simmons. That's the name, Edward Simmons, who was an American producer and screenwriter. Uh, Simmons, Ed Simmons and Norman Lear teamed up to sell home furnishings door to door for a company that was called the Gans Brothers. The Gans Brothers. It was a company that he sold home furnishings to. That was for them. That was for that company. Uh, and later sold family photos door to door. Throughout the 1950s, Lear and Simmons turned out uh, comedy sketches and skits for the TV appearances of Martin and Lewis, uh, Rowan and Martin, and others. They frequently wrote for Martin and Lewis. For Martin Lewis, then when they appeared on the Colgate Comedy Hour, that's what they named a toothpaste after. Uh, and the 1953 article from Billboard magazine stated that Lear and Simmons were guaranteed a record-breaking $52,000. It was equivalent from $568,766 in like a year previously, to each to write for like 5 additional Martin and Lewis appearances on the Colgate Comedy Hour that year. But in a 2015 interview with Variety magazine, Lear said that Jerry Lewis had hired him and Simmons as writers for Martin and Lewis. Martin and Lewis. 3 weeks 3 weeks right before the comedy duo made their first appearance on the Colgate Comedy Hour in 1950. Lear acknowledged this. Lear had acknowledged this in 1986 that he and Simmons, they give it the old college try. They were the main writers for the Martin and Lewis show. That's a study with that was from the guys that's no longer with us, Dean Martin and Jerry Lee Lewis. These are the two that's no longer with us. You know what I mean? The Martin and Lewis show that was named after the late Dean Martin and Jerry Lee Lewis. Jerry Lee Lewis. This went on for like 3 years probably. In 1954, Lear enlisted. Lear was so enlisted as a writer, and he was asking. He's asking to salvage the new CBS sitcom that was starring Celeste Holm, uh, who was an American stage film and TV actress in her own right back in the day, back in the 50s. Honestly, Celeste, that happened to be an American TV sitcom uh, that CBS had aired from the 1950s, whereas from it lasted for like 3 months in 1954, lasted 3 months. But the program was canceled after 8 episodes. After 8 episodes, during this time, he became the producer. Lear became the producer of a short-lived 26 episode sitcom that was from NBC. That was from NBC. It's called The Martha Ray Show. After Hiken, Nat Hiken, Nathan Nat Hiken left as a director, as a director for the series. Lear had also wrote some of the opening monologues, the monologues that he wrote. He wrote some of those opening monologues that he did. It was the opening for what is it? The Tennessee Ernie Ford show. This is Norman Lear when he started doing all the work. It wasn't even that was Norman Lear. That's Tennessee Ernie Ford standing there looking all dumbfounded. But that show was which aired. That show was which aired from 1956 to 1961. But in 1959, Lear created his first TV series, a half-hour western for Review Studios that was picked up and turned into Universal Pictures Television LLC. It's called The Deputy. It's called The Deputy. It was starring the legendary Henry Fonda as Henry Fonda. Well, he was an American actor whose career spanned like 5 decades on Broadway and in Hollywood, on screen, stage, and he often portrayed characters that embodied an everyman image. From the late '60s to the late '70s, this is where it started. Starting out as a comedy writer and then a film director, which he wrote and produced the 1960s film Divorce American Style, and directed the early 1970s film Cold Turkey. You know, that was both starring Dick Van Dyke. I'll show you this man right here, Dick Van Dyke. This man is still alive. This man is still alive. This man grew a beard. Well, Lear tried Lear tried to sell a concept for a sitcom about a blue collar American family to ABC. They rejected the show after two pilots were taped. It was called a Justice for All pilot. That was in like 1968, and those were the days in 1969. After a third pilot was taped, CBS picked up that show that was known as All in the Family. All in the Family. It was a TV show right here. All in the Family. It premiered January 12th, 1971. To the disappointing ratings, but it took home several Emmy awards that year. Several Emmys, including outstanding comedy series. The show did very well in summer reruns, and it flourished in the 1971-72 season. It almost built like a semester year in elementary school, whatever. Becoming the top rated show on TV for the next 5 years. After falling from the number one spot, All in the Family still remained in the top 10. Well, after it became Archie Bunker's Place, that was the show was already been first in 1979 and it lasted in 1983. The show was based loosely on a British TV show and a sitcom. Is called Till Death Do Us Part. Right here, Till Death Do Us Part. Um, about an irascible working class Tory and his son-in-law, who happened to be a socialist, who was married to Tory's daughter. Lear, his second big TV sitcom, his big TV sitcom that was called Sanford and Son, right here. There's Sanford and Son. It was also based on a British sitcom. It's called Steptoe and Son. It's called Steptoe and Son. That's been around from since the '60s. About a West London about a West London drunk dealer and his son. They're from the UK, so it was in the UK back in the '60s. Uh, Lear changed the setting to the Watts section of Los Angeles, and the characters to the African Americans, the blacks, like African Americans, uh, and the NBC show Sanford and Son was an instant hit. Was an instant hit. The numerous hit shows followed thereafter, including Maude, The Jeffersons, the both spin-offs of All in the Family, One Day at a Time, and Good Times, which was a spin-off of Maude. Most of these most of these Lear TV sitcoms, they shared about three features. They were shot on videotape in place. Film used a live studio audience and dealt with the social and political issues of the day. Maude is generally based, uh, considered to be based on Lear's wife Frances, something she herself confirmed with a guy who was serving as the main producer and writer, Charlie Hawk. Yeah, he was serving as a main producer and writer. Lear's longtime producing partner was a man named Bud Yorkin, Ellen David Bud Yorkin, who also produced All the Family, Sanford and Son, What's Happening. What's Happening? It was like a American sitcom that was starring the likes of Ernest Lee Thomas, Danielle Spencer, uh, Haywood Nelson, and the late Fred Berry, Shirley Hempel, and Mabel King, and Thomas Wasalala, whose real name was Jack Crowder, who used to guest star on that show. Maude, starring Beatrice Arthur, rest in peace, and the Jeffersons. Yorkin split with Lear in 1975. He started a production company with writer slash producers Saul Turteltaub and Bernie Orenstein. Bernard Bernie Orenstein. The guy was Canadian. You know what I mean? However, only only two of their shows lasted longer than a year. What's happening? What's happening? Two exclamation points in Carter Country. Carter Country. The Lear Yorkin company was known as Tandem Productions. Tandem Productions. They've been in the game since the 50s. It was so founded in 1958. Lear and a talent agent who goes by the name of Jerry Parencio, Andrew uh, Gerald Parencio, founded TAT Communications. That was that was stood for the Yiddish phrase "tukus Amton Tish." What's it say? "Tukus Amton Tish." It's quote unquote. That was a joke. That's like a Yiddish phrase that they used. Putting one's ass, putting one's ass on the line in 1974, which coexisted with Tandem Productions, with Tandem Productions, and was often referred to in periodicals as Tandem slash TAT. The Lear organization was one of the most successful independent TV producers in of the what is it, the 1970s. TAT produced TAT produced the influential and award-winning 1981 film The Wave, about Ron Jones's social experiment. Lear also developed a cult favorite TV series, Mary Hartman, MH, which was turned down, which was turned down by the networks as too controversial, quote unquote, and placed it into a first run syndication with 128 stations in January of 1976. A year later, he added another program to replace it into a first run syndication with the MH show after. It's called All That Glitters. It's called All That Glitters. I did not even know that. I forgot to mention that in the description. I'll edit that after I'm done. He planned in 1977. He planned in 1977 to offer 3 hours of the primetime Saturday programming, the weekend programming, directly having stations place. His production company is in the position of an occasional network. An occasional network, I did not know. In the late 70s, an African American screenwriter who goes by the name that I wanted to mention. His name was in the credits of the ending of episodes of Good Times. Eric Monty. He had filed a lawsuit accusing both accusing both producers for ABC and CBS, Norman Lear, Norman Lear and Alan Bud Yorkin and others, of stealing his ideas for the Good Times TV show, The Jeffersons. And what's happening? And what's happening? Monty received a $1 million settlement. He received a settlement of $1 million and a small percentage of the residuals from that TV show that he had produced, Good Times, and 1% ownership of the show. Monty, due to his lack of business knowledge and experience, as well as legal representation. Matter of fact, he would not receive royalties for the other shows, which that he had created himself. However, Lear and other producers that was in Hollywood, they outraged over the lawsuit. They blacklisted Monty and labeled him. It's the words that uh that Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, um, and Lionsgate has said about Monique. They're labeling this the same thing they said about Eric Monty. This is long before the shit that happened with Monique. They labeled him too difficult, too difficult to work with. They said the same thing to Monique. They blacklisted her ass too. They blacklisted her black ass too. What the fuck are they doing to him? Okay, between 1980 and all the way to like 1999. In 1980, Lear founded the organization. It's called People for the American Way, for the purpose of the counteracting the Christian rights group Moral Majority, which had been founded in 1979. In the fall of 1981, that's the early 80s, Lear Lear had began a 14-month run as the host of a revival of the classic game show. It was called Quiz Kids. It was based on a bunch of young kids there, young contestants that used to be there, used to be on the show, but they're all grown up now. They're all grown up now. All contestants on that show, they're all grown up now. It used to be on NBC, you know, back in the day, back in the old days. It was for the CBS. It was for the CBS cable network that was in January of 1982. This was months before my time. You know, Lear and Jerry Parencio bought Abco Embassy Pictures. That's look at that name. We'll show you that name. We'll spread that name out. It was from Abco Embassy Pictures. They had a star right there, and I was into the E. It was from a financial corporation that goes by the name of Abco Financial Corporation. That was in the same date and year, the same month and year, after merging with TAT Communications company. They merged. That's after they merged the company. After they merged the company with the TAT Communications, uh, Diabco was so dropped, and the combined entity was renamed Embassy Communications Incorporated. Embassy Pictures was led by a man named Alan Horn and Martin Schaefer, later co-founders of a of an entertainment company that was with the legendary Rob Reiner. Everybody remember him as Michael Stivic from All in the Family in the 1970s. All three of these guys have been co-founders of this company right here. They're all show they've been showing that name all over my TV screen all fucking day. It's Castle Rock Entertainment. It's Castle Rock Entertainment. It was that they had that theme when he ended the sign when he ended episodes of Seinfeld, it was like this. Doom, 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 doom. That's what the theme was already been played at the end. Yeah, let me explain it to you. That company, Embassy Pictures, was already been led back in the day by Ellen Horn and Martin Schaefer. It was led by Ellen Horn and Martin Schaefer, the later co-founders of CRE, Castle Rock Entertainment, which was now a entertainment production company that was with television legend with TV legend Rob Reiner, who used to play as Michael Meathead Stivic. Well, Michael Stivic. Well, Carol O'Connor, he played as Archie Bunker, rest in peace. He used to call Michael, give him the name Meathead. He dug the name Meathead, you know. Well, when Carol called him that, it's like it's like Carol was using his little shit. He called Michael, shut up, Meathead. Yeah, I miss Carol O'Connor. You know what I mean? The guy's a legend. But in March of 1982, Lear had produced an ABC television show, like a TV special. It was titled "I Love Liberty," as like a counterbalance to the groups like the moral majority among the many guests who have appeared on the special, which became a conservative icon in the 1964 U.S. presidential elections Republican nominee who goes by the name of Barry Goldwater, Barry Morris Goldwater. Well, they skipped right on to 85. I don't even know what happened. They skipped on to 1985. On June 18th, 1985. I mean, I was like 3 years old. I was 3 years old when Lear and Perenchio sold Embassy Communications to it was that it was sold to this one here. It's showing that in my screen too. Columbia, they don't show it on my screen. Columbia Pictures Industries. They sold Embassy Communications to Columbia Pictures Industries, which used to be owned by the Coca-Cola Company. It used to be owned by the Coca-Cola Company, which acquired Embassy's own film and television division, including their in-house TV productions, and their TV rights deals to its theatrical library. That was for a $485 million of shares to the Coca-Cola Company. The Coca-Cola Company. Uh, that's the company that sent out the cold drinks. It sent out their drinks to stores everywhere. And it's been sent to the stores to this day. The brand Tandem Productions Incorporated. Yeah, the brand Tandem Productions Incorporated It was a film and TV production company that was founded in the 1950s by by Alan Bud Yorkin and the late Norman Lear, and the now late Norman Lear, was abandoned in 1986 with the cancellation of a TV series, of a TV show that's been out since they've been out since 1978 to 1976. This right here. Different strokes. NBC used to air it in 1978 until it finally uh, going to the to other episodes that was in like 1985, and then ABC, and then on ABC right between September of 1985 all the way to like March of 86. So that show was already gone. And Embassy ceased to exist as a single entity in late 1986. Late 1986, that was November of that year, having been split into components, different components owned by the different entities. Coca-Cola sold, Coke. Coke sold the film division to Dino De Laurentiis, and the home video arm to Nelson Holdings, Barry Spikings, Barry Spikings. Let me get the name. Barry Barry, Spikings, Spikings. Barry Spikings had led that holding company. The TV properties had continued under the banner of Columbia Pictures Television. Lear's Act 3 Communications. Lear's company is called Act 3 Communications. Was founded in 1986. Ever since Tandem Productions was abandoned, and in the following year, Thomas B. McGrath was named as president and chief operating officer, well, COO of Act 3 Communications Incorporated, after previously serving as the senior vice president on, skipped all the years back, on early 1989, that's February 2nd of that year. Norman Lear's Act 3 Communications, the Act 3 Communications company, Norman Lear have already founded it, formed a joint venture with Columbia Pictures Television. It was called Act 3 Television. It's called Act 3 Television. Just to produce TV series instead of managing. Right until 1987 and all the way to like 1991, Act 3 Communications purchasing like several business journals, including Channels Magazine that had been founded by Lester Brown, who was an American pioneer in television journalism. Former New York Times TV correspondent Channels closed by 1990. By 1990, by which time was it Act 3 and Lester Brown published and edited a name is called TBI, Television Business International, until the late 1990s. Lear and Jim George produced the Kids WB series, Channel T3. Channel T3. There is like a Saturday morning animated cartoon uh, that was so notable for being the first television show to meet the Federal Communication Commission's then new educational programming requirements right between 2000 and this year. In 2003, Lear appeared on South Park. He appeared on South Park, as we says. He appeared on South Park during the I'm a Little Bit Country episode. That was from like season 7, providing the voice of Benjamin Franklin. That's the man who put his face on $100 bills. He also served as a consultant on the episodes I'm a Little Bit Country and Cancelled. He attended a South Park writers retreat. Almost bit my tongue. He attended a South Park writers retreat, along with the likes of Eric Stowe, Mona Marshall, uh, Trey Parker and Matt Stone. I did not know. I did not recall. There, he attended a retreat that was for the writers of the South Park cartoon. With some of his ideas making it onto South Park, and he was the efficient at co-creator Trey Parker's wedding. Yeah, he was. Yeah, I know. He was the officiant. The officiant. He was at the wedding of the Comedy Central's South Park cartoons creator, who was working with Matt Stone, Trey Parker, Randolph Seburn Trey Parker III. This is the guy's wedding. This is the guy's wedding that that Lear was an officiant at. All the years got skipped into 2014. Uh, Lear published as a memoirs called "Even I Get to This." Oh, I forgot. Let me rephrase this. Let me rephrase this. Even this I get to experience. It's a memoir that he published. It skipped some years too. Uh, Lear is spotlighted in the 2016 documentary. It's named Norman Lear. Norman Lear, version, just another version of you. It was a Norman Lear type documentary that was done in 2016. It's called Just Another Version of You. In 2017, he served as executive producer. He served as executive producer for one day at a time. It was a it was the reboot of his 1975 1984 show of the same name that premiered on Netflix. They was throwing some new cast of characters right there. Justina Machado, Rita Moreno. She's she's a Puerto Rican actress, but she's from. Let me tell you about Rita Moreno. Rita Moreno. Let me explain to you about Rita Moreno. She's from Puerto Rico. She's a Puerto Rican actress, dancer, and singer from Puerto Rico. Yeah, she's from Puerto Rico. she's already she's old and she's Puerto Rican. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'm too busy channeling while listening on Big Pun's "Yeah Baby" album. It's 100%. The reboot of his 1975-1984 show of the same name that premiered on Netflix. I never even get a chance to subscribe to. My cousin can go ahead and subscribe to them because he got money. He got money. He been busting his ass at work. It was starring Justina Machado. Let me show you this. This a girl with the mic. She has some nice tits too. Yeah, she holding the microphone and Rita Moreno, her old ass. Yeah, everybody knows this. Everybody knows Rita Moreno is from Puerto Rico. She's a Puerto Rican. You know, as Cuban American family, a Cuban American family, it was a little different from the old cast from back in the 70s to the 80s. Lear hosted a podcast, all of the above, all of the above that he had hosted in. It's called All of the Above with Norman Lear himself. Uh, since May 1st, 2017, I was turning 35. I was turning 35 on that date. I was turning 35. I was turning like 35 years old on that date, on the day that podcast came out. Then on July the 29th, 2019, in that part I was like 30 was it 37? I was like 37. I was in my late 30s. I was like 37 then. I was 37 years old then. And then it was announced that Lear teamed with I mentioned about this person. Lynn. I never even mentioned to her about this person. I didn't know who this man was. This guy was a singer. This guy was a songwriter and an actor and a filmmaker and a playwright. I think his name was Lin Manuel Miranda. Lin Manuel was it? Lin Manuel Miranda. Lin Manuel Miranda. That's his name. Lin Manuel Miranda. He teamed with this fucking guy to make an American Masters documentary about the life of this old Puerto Rican bitch. Please, you're doing this. They're doing this documentary based on the life of Rita Moreno, the Puerto Rican. This woman is old. This woman is old, bruh. She's from Puerto Rico. Let me go get her name in. This man is still alive. I forgot, man. I forgot. I meant woman. This woman would still be alive today. Okay? This woman could still be alive. Why would they team up to make an American Masters documentary that was about the life of Rita Moreno? About Rita Moreno. Tentatively titled Rita Moreno, just a girl who decided to go for it. It was an American documentary film that that was directed, produced, and edited by Miriam Perez Riera. Is based on the life of Rita Moreno. This Rita Moreno right here. Okay, we're jumping into 2020. Uh, in 2020, it was announced that Lear and Act 3 Productions and Act as Wiz, uh, it was announced that Lear and his company, his Act 3 production company would executive produce a revival of a 1980s TV sitcom, Who's the Boss? That's already been canceled since 1992. It was a 1984 uh TV sitcom that was already canceled since 1992. At the time of his death this year, in this entire year, he was overseeing multiple shows in the development including a planned reboot of the Mary Hartman soap opera that they wrongfully canceled. Lear had been honored for his influence on American TV and culture. Before All in the Family, TV sitcoms in the 1950s and 1960s generally portrayed white American family life as comfortable and avoided raising issues such as racial discrimination and patriarchy. Beginning in the early 1970s, All in the Family openly discussed social and political topics of the day and became the country's most popular show for 5 straight years. Lear's subsequent shows widened TV's representation of the racial and gender diversity, such as Good Times, for example. The first television show centered on an African American nuclear family. Television screenwriter Sidney Aaron Chayefsky. Yeah, that's his name. Sidney Aaron Chayefsky said that Lear put the American people on screen. He took the audience and put them on the set. But back in 1999, then President then President Bill Clinton awarded Lear the National Medal of Arts, noting he said he said this in the monotone. Norman Lear Norman Lear has held up a mirror to American society and changed the way we look at it. The same year, he and Alan Bud Yorkin, the now former Tandem Productions founders, received the Women in the Film Lucy Award in the recognition of excellence and innovation in creative works that have enhanced the, uh, the perception of women through the medium of television. The Producers Guild of America awarded Lear its achievement award in television in 2006. By the next year, the honor was named the Norman Lear Achievement Award in television. In 2017, he was awarded the fourth annual Woody Guthrie Prize presented by the Woody Guthrie Center, recognizing recognizing an artist whose work represents the spirit of Woody Guthrie as a positive force for social change. That's what it meant. A positive force, a positive force for social change. He became the oldest recipient of the Kennedy Center honors. Now he is receiving the Kennedy Center honors. Uh, I think it's in 2017. He did receive it. Later that year, at the age of 95, Lear's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame is located at 6615 Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood, California. Uh, Probably Los Angeles, California, or Hollywood. I don't know. He received other numerous honorary accolades, including the Peabody Awards from the late Peabody Awards and American Humanist Association, Lifetime Achievement Award, and Humanist Art was it Humanist Arts Awards? The both, yeah, the Peabody Awards and American Humanist Association, Lifetime and Achievement in Humanist Achievement and Humanist Arts Awards. Well, he won a Lifetime Achievement uh, in Humanist Arts Awards. I think it was in the late 1970s. In 1980, he won an Academy of Achievement, a Golden Plate Award. Around 1984, he had the TV Academy. Yeah, the TV Academy. Uh, he was in the Hall of Fame. He was inducted. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame, the TV Academy Hall of Fame. And the Britannia Awards in 2007. It was in the late 2000s. He was in the Britannia Awards. It was excellence. It's excellence in television. And in the late 2010s, he was in the National Hispanic Media Coalition. He was deemed as a media icon. Well, then he won that lifetime achievement, same way he did in the late 1970s. You know, the political and the cultural activities that he's been doing. Let me explain this to you about Norman Lear. He was an outspoken supporter of the First Amendment and the liberal causes. Liberal causes. The only time he did not support the Democratic candidate for president was in 1980 when he supported John Anderson. He supported John Anderson over James Jimmy Carter Jr., who happened to be an American politician and humanitarian. But it's because he considered the Carter administration to be a complete disaster. Okay, Carter administration. Lear was one of the wealthy Jewish Angelenos known as the Malibu Mafia. The Malibu Mafia. It was like that guy was like Lear was like a gangster, man. Lear was like a straight up gangster. Man, he was straight up gangster. I don't know. I know he was about it. But in the 1970s and 1980s, the group discussed progressive and liberal political issues and worked together to fund them. They helped to fund the legal defense of Daniel Ellsberg, who had released the Pentagon Papers. The Pentagon Papers. And then they backed and then they backing the struggling progressive magazine. It's called The Nation. It's called The Nation. To keep it afloat. In 1975, they formed the EAC, the EAC, Energy Action, the Energy Action Committee, to oppose the big oil's powerful lobby. A powerful lobby. That was from Big Oil. That was their powerful lobby. That was their lobby. A big powerful lobby that was in Washington. It was a big powerful lobby that came from Big Oil. Don't know. Until the early 80s, he founded the PFAW, People for the American Way, where we read this shit. A progressive advocacy organization formed in reaction to the politics of the Christian right. The PFAW ran several advertising campaigns opposing the interjection of religion in politics. PFAW and other like-minded groups succeeded in their efforts to block Reagan's late 80s nomination of Robert Bork, a man named Robert Bork of the Supreme Court. That's longer than this. Look, great. The nomination of this old fucker, Robert Bork. This is what happened. Why would he have to? They had succeeded in their efforts to block the nomination of this motherfucker, this old fag, this old hag, Robert Bork of this to the Supreme Court. This fucker, Robert Bork. That guy's been standing alongside Ronald Reagan for years. Ever since he was president. Ever since he was president back in the day. Ever since he was president back then. That's why they switching presidents like Clinton and motherfucking Bush, and it's switching to Bush and Clinton and Bush Jr. and all these motherfuckers that have been president. They've been president. Then Obama, then Obama, and then Trump, and now Biden. Biden, uh was it? He used to be a senator back in the day. You know what I mean? When Florida wasn't complete shit in complete shit in the 1970s, when when several people were killed in Miami-Dade uh location, the mall, in July 11th, 1979, and there's several people getting killed. That pisses off Ronald Reagan very badly. That upsets him. It upsets the shit out of him very badly. But Lear was a longtime critic of the religious right, was an advocate for the advancement of oh yeah, secularism. That's the word. Secularism. Secularism. The prominent right wing Christians, including these OG Christians, man, like Pat Robertson. And I remember so much about him from the old 700 Club show. Jerry Falwell, who was an indie Baptist pastor and televangelist and conservative, and James Jimmy and Jimmy Lee Swagger, who happens to be an American Pentecostal televangelist. They have been accused, Lear, of being an atheist and holding an anti-Christian bias. In the January 21st, 1987 issue of the Christian Century. It was like a Christian magazine that's been out for years. Lear associate Martin E. Marty, who happened to be a Lutheran professor of the church history at the University of Chicago Divinity School, that was between the 1963 and 1998, rejected those allegations. They rejected those allegations, stating that the TV producer honored religious moral values and complementing Lear's understanding of Christianity. Marty noted that while Lear and his family, they never practiced Orthodox Judaism. See, Orthodox Judaism, they never practiced that. The television producer was a follower of Judaism. In a 2009 interview with U.S. News journalist Dan Gilgoff, Lear rejected claims by these right-wing Christian nationalists. Let's see these three people right here: Patterson, Falwell, and Swaggart. That he was an atheist and prejudiced against Christianity. Lear held religious beliefs and integrated some evangelical Christian language into his born again American campaign. He believed that regions should be kept separate from from politics. I was so against that shit too. I was so against it back then. And policy making. In a 2014 interview with the Jewish Journal of Greater Los Angeles, journalist what was it? Rob Eshman, Robert Eshman. Lear described himself as a total Jew, but he was never a practicing one. He was never a practicing one to begin with. In 1989, Lear founded the BET, Business Enterprise Trust, an educational program, the educational program that used annual awards, business school case studies, and videos to spotlight exemplary social innovations in the American business until it ended in 1998. He announced in 1992 that he was reducing his political activism. In 2000, he provided an endowment for a multidisciplinary research. Yes, for a multidisciplinary research and Public Policy Center. Is named is named the Norman Lear Center. That's what it became. That kind of explored the convergence of entertainment, commerce, and society. In the society at the USC Annenberg School for Communications and Journalism. Lear served on the National Advisory Board of the Young Storytellers Foundation, the YSF. He wrote the articles for the Huffington Post. He was a trustee of the Paley Center for the Media. This one right here. The Paley Center for Media. The Declaration of Independence awaits. In 2001, Lear and Lynn, his wife, his widow, purchased Dunlap Broadside, one of the first published copies of the U.S. Declaration of Independence for $8.1 million. John Dunlap printed about 200 copies of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776. It's long before the 4th of July, all years ago. It was in the 1770s. 25 copies survive today, and only 4 of those are in the private hands. Not a document collector. Lear said in a press release, and on the Today Show, that his intent was to tour the document around the United States, so that the country could experience its quote unquote birth certificate. But firsthand, until the through the end of 2004, the document traveled. My battery about to die. Through the end of 2004, its birth certificate firsthand. Oh, I forgot. I messed all that. I fucked it up. Through the end of 2004, the document traveled throughout the United States on the Declaration of Independence road trip, which Lear had organized, visiting the several presidential libraries, dozens of museums, as well as the 2002 Olympics, Super Bowl, XXXVI, and the Live 8 concert in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Lear and Rob Reiner, the co-star of All in the Family, produced a filmed dramatic reading of the Declaration of Independence. The last the last project, filmed by a famed cinematographer who goes by the name of Conrad Hall. On July 4th of 2001, this was a month before this was months before uh the 9/11 terrorist attacks that happened in New York. It happened in New York with Osama bin Laden and all these guys. They try to bust into the towers and with the planes. It was at the Independence Hall building in Philadelphia. The film is introduced by the actors. Introduced by the actors Morgan Freeman and Kathy Bates. Well, let me see. There we go. Push the name. Kathleen Doyle Bates. Well, Kathy is what they call her. Uh, Benicio del Toro, Michael Douglas, Mel Gibson, Whoopi Goldberg, Graham Greene, Ming Na Wen, Ed Norton. Well, it's to me it's Edward Harrison Norton to me. Remember Winona Ryder? Remember her from remember her from these movies? Winona Ryder. Well, whose real name was Winona Horowitz. Kevin Spacey. I remember so much about Kevin Spacey. He was featured on my game, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. He played a character on that game. I was a player at the time. I'm playing as a nomad player, trying to save his character. They gave me that type of ending, like they try to give me that type of scene that they make it look like the Juice ending. So, and there's the likes of Renee Zellweger. That's Renee Zellweger. Well, she was like, I don't know. She got mighty fat and shit. And I don't even know why. She got mighty fat, but all of a sudden she got skinny and shit. She got so skinny and shit. I didn't know that. Yep. And they all appear as the Raiders. As the Raiders. It was directed by Orban Brown, who was an American theater and TV director. And it's scored by American composer, conductor, and uh, and pianist John Williams. In 2004, Lear published not published. Lear established Declare Yourself, which is a national nonpartisan nonprofit nonprofit campaign that was created to empower and encourage eligible 18 to 29-year-olds in America to register and vote. You know what? All you residents that lived in this country, y'all can have it. I don't want it. I don't want to vote for nobody else. Fuck voting. I don't want to vote for nobody because I don't want to get involved in that political bullshit. Fuck them. That's why I stick my middle finger out on camera, and that's why I did. That's why I did that shit. I'm sorry, all you YouTubers, all you felt that you saw my video. Well, but go ahead enough of me pulling out my middle finger, saying "fuck you" to the people who try to throw people into voting for people that they're already almost considered to be terrible politicians. Bye bye. Let me start over. In 2004, Lear established Declare Yourself, which is a national, nonpartisan, nonprofit campaign created to empower and encourage eligible 18 uh, to 29 year olds. Yeah, let me rephrase again. Eligible 18 to 29 year olds in America to register and vote. It has registered almost 4 million young people. Lear was one of the 98 prominent members of the Los Angeles Jewish community. The Jewish community, yes, the Jewish community in Los Angeles, who have signed an open letter supporting the proposed nuclear agreement between Iran and six world powers, led by the United States. The letter called for the passage of the bill and warned that the ending of the agreement by Congress would be a quote unquote tragic, yeah, that's word. It's quote unquote tragic mistake. Tragic, tragic mistake. Okay, the personal life and death. That's why I'm glad to end with this here. Lear, Norman Lear, legendary type of guy who was behind all the TV shows. He was married like three times. His first marriage was to Charlotte Rosen. That was said in that by his picture. They divorced later in 1956. Boy, Frances Loeb, I did not even hear about. This woman, damn, she old as hell. I don't know when she died. Oh yeah, she died. She died months before. Months before. She died. She died months before. I don't know. She died before this real estate icon. You know, who lived in Arizona, and she died before this real estate icon. Uh, one of the members of the Outlaws. People like Howard Rollins, John Benet Ramsey, and my grandmother. My grandmother. Yeah, she died in 1996, around the fall of 1996. Yeah, he was married to Frances Loeb, who had later died in 1996. Who happened to be the publisher of a magazine that Lear had created. It's called Lear's. Wait, I forgot. It wasn't even. It wasn't Norman. No, it wasn't Norman Lear's magazine to begin with. It was a company magazine. It's called Lear's. Lear's magazine. It was. This woman was a publisher of that magazine. Lear's. They got an old picture of Susan Sarandon. Look, that's got an old picture of Susan Sarandon. From the Thelma and Louise movie. Anywho, he was married to this woman who used to be a Lear's magazine publisher. Uh, Frances Loeb, from 1956 to 1985. Uh, in 1983, they separated. With Loeb, she eventually receiving $112 million from Lear in their divorce settlement. But in 1987, he married Lynn Davis. Lynn Davis, who happened to be a producer, who happened to be a producer, have already survived him. Have already survived him. That's what it says. In 1987, he married Lynn Davis, who survives him from those three marriages. Those three marriages that he had, previous three marriages. Um, he had six children. He was a godparent to actress and singer Katie Sagal. Anybody remember Katie Sagal? Uh, anybody remember her as Peggy Bundy? Remember her as Peggy Bundy on Married with Children from the late '80s to the late '90s and until the 2000s. Uh, she played as Kate Hennessy. She played as Kate Hennessy on Eight Simple Rules. I think it's with the late I think it was with the late John Ritter. It was with the late John Ritter. I think it was with I think it was with the late John Ritter. That's who she's working with. That's who she's working with. The late John Ritter. They're working with the likes of Kelly Cuoco. I think she was doing commercials now. Amy Davidson. She used to be featured on that show. That show was canceled in like 2005. Martin Spangers didn't get the picture. James Garner, rest in peace. He used to be featured on there while John Ritter is off the show. David Spade, who was a legendary comedian and television star and actor. That's a picture of Katie Sagal. She's different. She's different than who she once was in the late 1980s. You know what I'm saying? The early 2010s. Man. I did not even know that Norman Lear had already met this woman, Katie Sagal, Catherine Louise Sagal. That's a woman who used to play as Peggy Bundy. This woman was born in the 1950s. This woman was born in the 1950s. Lear was like way older than her. Okay? This man was Katie Sagal's godfather. Oh man. Boy, on like July 27th of last year, this man had became a centenarian. God damn. Until previous Tuesday, uh, Norman Lear had passed away. I mean, he died of natural causes in his Los Angeles home on his especially. Let me phrase this. I'll tell you about Norman Milton Lear, and they saying about this. He died of natural causes in his home in Los Angeles, California, on December 5th, on the Tuesday, aged aged 101. Last night I was on in the chat window of my good buddy and fellow subscriber Jerry Durasmo, who had to be JD from NY 206. I I briefed all the people in the chat that he died. I briefed the people in the chat that Norman Lear died. The man who brought the social commentary to the 1970s TV sitcoms, have died in his home in LA. previous Tuesday. He was 101 years old, man, and they all knew of Norman Lear. They knew of Norman Lear. They responded to my comment that I let them know that he died. You know, but we're gonna go straight into his appearances in popular culture. He plays the protagonist as a protagonist they played in the video "Happy Birthday to Me" that Lear had played as the first single on the musician and actor Paul Hip's 2015 album. This Paul Hip. He was an American actor, singer, songwriter, and filmmaker. It was the album. It was a. It was an album. It's called the Remote Distance. The Remote Distance. Well, I've got to wait. Let me rephrase it. Let me rephrase this shit. The Remote Distance. This is when Paul. This is what came from. This is what's been said here. It says the top of my bucket list. It means what is what it says. The top of my bucket list. My bucket list always included a desire to sing. More than that, a desire to enchant an audience. With my voice, I ached to be Sinatra or Torme. Just for a night. For just a night, you say a night's too much. How about just one song? Question mark. My friend, actor, singer, guitarist, and composer Paul Hip. I think Norman Lear, the now late Norman Lear said this. My friend, actor, singer, guitarist, and composer Paul Hip wrote the Happy Birthday song when he turned 50. I loved it and asked if I could perform it as I turned 93. That was the result. And I don't care what you say. I love it. There's some TV productions that he had done. There's All in the Family, Sanford and Son, Maude, Good Times, The Jeffersons. I didn't get a chance to mention that. The Hot L Baltimore series, One Day at a Time, the Mary Hartman show. It was a soap opera. The Dumplings, All's Fair, the Nancy Walker Show, All That Glitters. What's all the names here? Fernwood Tonight. Oh, and A Year at the Top, America Tonight, Different Strokes, Different Strokes, Hanging In, The Baxters. Let me scoop up The Baxters. It was a 1980s TV show that he had developed, that Lear had developed in the 70s. That I did not mention in the description. Uh, Palmerstown, USA. Uh, the Deputy. And what is it? AKA Pablo. The Deputy was like a 1950s series. I'm on this. Let me scoop it up. It was an American Western TV series. I just scooped it up. Uh, there's some stuff right there. It says note: the above chart does not include the made-for-TV movies like The Wave here, which aired on October the 4th, 1981, or Heart Sounds, which have aired on was it September 30th, 1984. That was in the fall of 1984. So, but we're going up there. I'm not gonna do a look at well, no more. I don't want to do look at Norman Lear. I'm gonna we'll do it from the top. Norman Milton Lear was an American screenwriter and producer who produced, wrote, created, or developed over 100 shows. Lear had created and produced numerous popular 1970 sitcoms, including All in the Family, Maude, Sanford and Son, One Day at a Time, The Jeffersons, and Good Times. His shows he had introduced the political and social themes to sitcoms like this, to the sitcom that he did. Lear had received many awards, including 6 Primetime Emmy Awards, 2 Peabody Awards, the National Media of Arts in 1999, the Kennedy Center Honors in 2017, and the Golden Globe Carol Burnett Award in 2021. He was a member of the Television Academy Hall of Fame. Lear was also known for his political activism and funding of liberal and progressive causes and politicians. In 1980, he founded the Advocacy Foundation. The advocacy organization is called the PF. What is it? The people for the American Way. The PFTAW, to counter the influence of the Christian right in politics. And in the early 2000s, he mounted a tour with a copy of the Declaration of Independence that's been around since the 1770s. We'll show you here. That's been that's been pictured from this was already been seen since 1776. So looks like I'm gonna go down. No choice but to do a look at Norman Lear. I'm going to have to do that though. Let me where is the Washington Post at, man? Where's the Washington Post at? Yeah, that's one. It's the Washington Post. You know what? I'm gonna save it for another. I'm gonna save it for that next video. I screwed all that up though. I fucked up. I gotta start over. That's why I hate fucking typing shit. And I don't even know how to fucking type. I gotta redo the motherfucking thing anyway. But oh, the guy ain't fucked up. You see, what? Let me on. Let me. My bad. I thought I had fucking. I thought I had that bitch closer to it because I was about to go fucking paranoid. I thought I was about to go fucking paranoid for a minute. Ugh. But I'm about to end this stream anyway. We'll save that for the next video. Uh, this live show is dedicated into the memoriam of Norman Milton Lear, born on what was he? Let me start over. Let me start over. This live show is dedicated into the memoriam of the guy who brought social commentary to the TV sitcoms, including a western and a soap opera, and probably some movies and things like that. Norman Milton Lear, born on July 27th, 1922, and died on Tuesday, December the 5th, 2023.